Welcome to our brand new podcast, The Art of I Do, here at Baddow Park House. Each month we'll be bringing industry experts or real couples to talk all things wedding. So I guess now would be a really good time to introduce each other. We know each other really well, but I guess everyone who's listening, tell them a bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I've been at Baddow Park House for 6 years now. My current role is venue manager, which I took on, really happy to take that role on because I think the business needed that change. Before that, I was at another venue probably for about 8 years before I came here, and background has always been looking after people, whether it's been beauty or medical, and fell into the wedding industry, and here I am still looking after people.
Yeah, and then I guess I came in 7 years ago when the venue very first opened. My background, I'd been in wedding venues before that but didn't particularly enjoy it. My background has always been finance, business, that sort of thing, and actually sort of took this on. When I spoke to the owners, they spoke about how they wanted this business and the venue to run. I thought it was a fantastic opportunity. So I came in at that stage and
you were at the hard hat level,
yes,
weren't you, when this orangery was not even here?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was genuinely, people would turn up, they would put on a high-vis hard hat, and I'd have to say to them, what is your imagination like? Because you're going to have to use it. So,
and obviously when I came in, it was COVID time. Were we going to have a wedding? When were we back to having weddings? How many people could we have at this wedding? And I think really we handled it well from the start, when I think the first wedding was 6 or 9 people, and then maybe 15. And then we made that dream come true as we were able to add on to how many people we could have, whether they would be allowed to stand up, walk around, dance, or us even be able to serve a canapé. How different it is now that we've almost forgotten those years, you know, that we can now just run weddings how they should be.
So with all that in mind, why do you love working in weddings?
I think people always ask me that question, and it's easy. I'm part of someone's most amazing day of their life, but not just the day. It's all the little bits you do up to that. And I think especially here, we have the time that we enable that to happen. And the luxury of that is that we give our customers and our clients the time. And it's not rushed. And then by the time their wedding comes along, we really know them.
I think we're really fortunate that we're in a business where actually everybody really enjoys it. So you get happy customers from the start. We've got that whole process where we see them through all of the planning. Their day is the most amazing day. They're happy. I think we're quite privileged to be in that, you know, you're part of someone's day that they're going to remember forever. So it's a
But I think the bits
privilege
that our couples don't see until they've actually had their wedding day here and they get it, because that's what we get the feedback from, is the staff that we've got backing our vision of what we wanted Baddow Park House to look like, and also, you know, from the gardens, the arrival. When you've got the right team around you, it's not about what I do, it's about what we do, and we do it really well. And because we do it really well, we have smiley couples, smiley families, and that's why it's probably one of the best jobs in the world, because you are part of their special day. But we know, you know, I'm excited when they arrive the night before, because I know we're going to give them the best day. And then they reward us by telling us that at the end of it.
So I guess if you follow us on our socials, you know about Baddow Park House and you know all about us. But if you've just searched for another channel and come across us, you might not know where Baddow Park is or what we're about. So, Gaynor, do you want to tell us a little bit more about?
So we're based in Essex. Everyone can get here very easily. We have good road structures around us. We've got airport, Southend, City Airport, Stansted Airport. Everyone can get here. There's good accommodation around. We host weddings 2 days a week, so we're not an overspill of weddings happening every day. And we have accommodation on site, so we are a luxury wedding venue, and we specialise in weddings twice a week only, which is quite rare in the industry that we can actually offer that. And we'll stick to that. It works for us. And I think people are short-sighted in the industry to keep doing this conveyor belt style weddings, because we can offer the luxury of attention, and if they want to stay there the day before or if they want to stay longer, it's almost, we can become a destination wedding venue if you wish, or we can run your wedding day for you and stay here overnight. So why a podcast? Why are we going down this route? What's the idea?
I think sometimes when you set out on your journey, when you've just got engaged, you might be the first in your friend group that have actually got married. So you kind of haven't got any idea. You're kind of leading the way with all of your friends of what that might look like. You might not have any idea of what you want, how you want it to look. So although this podcast is based here at Badder Park House, that's where we work, it's not predominantly about us. It's about experts that we'll get in.
Absolutely.
That can, add some nuggets of information, best practices, things like that, some ideas.
This information can sit there, can't it? And then people will pick it up when it's relevant to them on their process of their wedding. And
you're so right by saying that, because actually if you pick this podcast up now or a year's time, 2 years' time, whatever, the content will still be relevant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what we always say to suppliers, because often suppliers say to us, can we go on your supplier list? I always say to them, my biggest tip to you is you have to keep putting stuff on Instagram. You have to keep using social media, because the new couple are new to that moment, and you might have put your pictures of being here at Badder Park House 3 months ago. Well, they've only just got engaged, so all of this stuff that's out there is relevant to time, to time of where they are in the process of their proposal or their engagement, waiting for the wedding.
So we've done all our formal introductions. We've told everyone who we are and what we're about. So let's talk about today's episode. So today's episode is about what makes a wedding truly bespoke.
Okay, so what makes a wedding truly bespoke is how that couple want their day to look. We can help with that process, or we can sometimes just sit back and listen. That's the beauty of having the knowledge of how to run a wedding. So sometimes it's about helping them, making it bespoke. Sometimes it's listening, and sometimes it's just a gentle nudge or a guide or bringing them back in. But I think listening, you can sometimes help build, but sometimes you can actually say to them, do you really need to have the donut wall and the photo booth and the fire eater and the tightrope walker, when actually all your guests want to do in the summer is have a glass of Pimm's in the garden and chat and listen to some good music. So it's bespoke, but also what time of the year it is, how they want it to look, how they want it to run. Do they want to come the day before? Do they want it more like a destination? And I think bespoke is, in their eyes, our job is to listen, to help, or just guide.
I think as well, taking it right back to the very outset of your engagement journey is, if you have got a set idea of how you want your wedding to look, is to find a venue that's going to allow you to facilitate that, because a lot of venues will run back-to-back weddings. You've got a very precise time that you've got to get in, you've got a precise time that you've got to get out again as well. So there's a lot of restrictions within that time of what you can and can't do. So if you've got grand plans of, I want to bring in this supplier, I want to do this is how I want it to look, you've got to find a venue that's actually going to be able to make that happen and make that work.
And also, if you wanted a church wedding off-site, timings, knowing so much in advance how strict registrars are of what time they arrive on site, and maybe if you want an earlier wedding or a later wedding, look at maybe having a celebrant. It's getting the right advice earlier on sometimes, and definitely the venue can restrict you. Does that venue allow you to have live musicians? Can you have musicians outside? What time, as you just said there, what time can I check in the morning? Can all my guests check in the morning? So I know that sometimes the bridal party can arrive, but mum might not be able to get into her room. So it's things like that, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the logistics of that. So say you've got, you're getting married somewhere, but your family don't live locally. Are they going to have to travel down in their clothes, in their nice dress and their nice suits, all crumpled up, and then roll out the car and go straight and
most venues,
go and sit and wait for the ceremony? Or actually, does the venue have capacity that it can host people before the wedding? So actually you have that relaxed morning into the wedding, and you really get to enjoy it. So I think think it's probably at the start, you need to work out, if you want a bespoke wedding, what are your priorities?
Absolutely.
And then find the venue that can
Yeah.
host it to that as well. So, you know, some people's version of a bespoke wedding could be, it's all about the decor. I've seen this on
Yes,
Pinterest. This
yeah.
is how it's got to look. But equally, you could have someone else who's like, no, it's food. For me, it's food.
Absolutely,
This is our favourite meal. This is what we want to serve on the day, and
they're very set
yeah.
whether you can do that or not.
Yeah.
And I think with the word luxury to me is being able to have maybe 50 people, but another 100 in the evening.
It's choice.
It's choice.
Yeah.
And again, I think what's happened in this industry, because at the end of the day, we're experienced, we know what's out there, we know what competitors do. I think the luxury of what we're trying to create here, and my vision and your vision, is to let it roll with how people really want it to look. Do they want to get married in the woodland area? Do they just want a barbecue? Do they want to come in later and have a twilight wedding?
Yeah.
So I think the luxury isn't always about, I would say this, the Jimmy Choos, or is it about the timing and the needs of the couple?
Well, that's really interesting, because I remember one of the first conversations that I'd had with the owner. So I had left weddings. I'd left the wedding industry. It wasn't for me. I'd gone back into finance, which was my, you know, I'd done that all my life. And I'd actually met the owner that way, and we were discussing. I said I'd had history of working in a wedding venue, and he was sort of saying his vision of how he was going to do it. And I was like, actually, that's right. That's how a wedding venue should be run.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I don't want to tell people, you know, within reason, I don't want to tell people no. If they want something, if something's on their list, let's make it happen for them. Obviously, within reason, there are some restrictions around, you know, legislations and licensing and stuff like that. So I appreciate there are some, you know, restrictions in that respect.
Even if you say no to people, always have a reason.
Why? Yeah.
And not just the bog standard of, no, we don't do this, no, we don't do that. You know, I know for a fact we've probably got 3 little no's, and I've always got a backup reason of why I will tell them.
Take that, for example, so confetti. So confetti is a no for us, other than fresh petals.
Absolutely.
That's a no. So some people ask us about the cannons. They're very popular. It's a no because when we have, although it is biodegradable, it does take a while to decompose. Yeah. We don't want someone to get married here a week later and have the remnants of someone else. Absolutely. So it's fair for everybody. So that's a good reason to say no. And I think that's part.
And even
part
to the biodegradable, the petals that sometimes people use, they use food colouring, and we know that because it stains the patio.
Stains dress.
You know, I don't want that anywhere near our couple's dress or shirt or whatever. It's, you know, we say no for a reason. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we always have a reason to back our few no's, but try and make it as bespoke as possible.
Yeah. And that was really where the decision came around to only host weddings on a Thursday and a Saturday, because can you stay the night before? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Can you stay the day after? Yes, you can. So it's really that gives you that time frame that wedding can be truly bespoke to what that couple really want.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we kind of touched on, you know, luxury wedding venue. What does it look like? And I guess luxury means something different to everybody. So like you said, for one person it could be having Jimmy Choos, it could be having, you know, the designer dress, all of that. But for other people, luxury actually does mean something completely different.
Yeah. And I think the luxury of arriving at a venue and someone greeting you, arriving at the door and someone greeting you and taking you to your rooms, air conditioning in not only the orangery and in the bedrooms while the groom's getting ready, those little luxuries you don't arrive at until you've been here and experienced it. So for me, the luxury that makes me smile when I see people enjoying it and taking that in is the luxury is it takes off the nerves when they have been and they've met with us so early on, when they've actually booked a wedding. The luxury of we meet our couples like easily within 2 months of them booking, and then we nurture them through the process with a really good system that the couples can both access. The luxury is everything's at their fingertips. You know, it's got the taxi numbers, the hotels, the local airports, train station. Then we're meeting them for their individual food tasting. The luxury then is they get to try the food. They're happy with the menu.
Yeah.
They can then send out their invites. So it's the luxury spins off throughout the
Yeah.
journey.
Do you know what I think is the real luxury here? I think it is the couple come here, they're obviously put on a pedestal all day long, treated like royalty,
Yeah.
and it's lovely. But actually, your guests get treated like that as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can go away thinking, my nan and granddad were treated like $1 million. They loved
Yeah.
every minute of it. They even knew what my nan's name was. They knew that she liked Prosecco and,
Yeah.
you know,
Sherry.
sherry. That kind of level
Yeah.
of detail, I think, is a real luxury. I mean, I would take a pair of Jimmy Choos as well, but that is the real luxury of it.
And, you know, at the end of the day, it's quite nice when you see the bride and groom sitting back and actually watching us do what we do best here. And actually, if there are any other venues, learn by that, because it's not just taking someone's money, chucking out a wedding every day. Just do a little bit more. You know, the service industry needs to improve. When I go out to a restaurant and someone makes a little bit more effort, it makes you smile. It makes you remember that actually, you know, something might not have been right with the meal, but the staff was so lovely. They've tried, they've made me feel $1 million. Surely that's the luxury. The luxury is there, that you're being looked after and you're not being ripped off and you're not being made to move out the venue the next day because there's someone else waiting in the car park. Or,
you're done.
You know, you can't come in the day before because they've sold that day and the day before that. And it's surely here the biggest luxury is that we nurture our couples in a way that by only doing the 2 weddings, we are giving them our time and the best of our venue.
Best of our staff.
Because the best of our staff, because we haven't got knackered staff on a Sunday and run out of pepperoni or chicken.
Yeah. So in this series, we're going to have guests on in the future, and we're going to put out on our socials who's coming in on the next episode so that you can ask questions in advance. So obviously today being our first pod, we haven't got the opportunity to ask these questions to our viewers at the moment. But what we have done is ask some of our previous couples the questions of what they'd like to know ahead of their planning journey. So hopefully these questions will help you as well. So our first question is, what advice would we give to newly engaged couples starting out on this planning journey?
Okay, so I think definitely it's do your research. Look at maybe 5 things that are important. So how many guests you want around you. Is it going to be family driven, or is it going to be a closer ceremony? Then maybe what sort of venue you might want, what time of the year. Maybe budget, because that, let's face it, is our world we live in. You have got budgets.
I think budget is a big thing. I would say start with budget. And I think if you set a budget, go out and see what you can get for that budget. And then that might mean actually we need to adjust this because that isn't going to work.
Yeah, because sometimes what we notice is when you are doing a show round, because especially here that we can adapt the time of the year. If someone really wanted to get married here, they would sometimes maybe go for a different season or maybe a Thursday instead of a Saturday. But if you're thinking of a barn wedding or a marquee wedding, really you've got to stick to summer weddings because that's when they
led
work.
by that season,
So that's why I think you've got to look at who, where, how much you want to spend and what you want it to look like, and then do some research on social media.
Yeah. And I think as well, this might be very controversial, family politics is a big thing when it comes to weddings. You've really got to think about keeping yourselves happy. Doing what you want to do, doing what you really want to do. How you've always seen your wedding looking and feeling, be true to that. So our next question is, what is a common mistake that couples make when they're within their planning journey?
On their early stage. So what I see all the time is they book the venue, they book the they go and get their dresses and their outfits, their suits and so on. And then they start looking at Pinterest, and I think they get carried away. And it seems to be they have done the early stage, and if you've booked a wedding for a year or 2 years, you can put your deposits down and you can know your expenditure. And then often our couples are very organised. They know what they're going to do. And then like that 6 months before, I start getting the emails through when they've got, you know, the beer ponies and all the extra bits around the edges. And I just think, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you're just as well to get your guests another glass of Pimm's or beers.
Do you know what? That's what I was going to say. I think sometimes people feel obligated to do too much.
Yeah.
There's a bit of downtime here. What should we fill this with? You don't need to fill it with anything.
They like having a chat.
Yeah, people haven't seen each other for years. They see each other again at weddings. They want to just, you know, have a drink and enjoy each other's company. So don't need to do too much. So that's it, we're finished. That was quite easy in the end, wasn't it?
I wanted to be saying this. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, yeah. On our next episode, we're going to have a real couple coming in. So they're going to be talking all things wedding with us. So right from the beginning of their, you know, the proposal, start of their journey all the way through to enjoying married life now.
Let's do it.
Thank you for joining us on The Art of I Do for our first episode, and we'll see you on the next one.